Oh yes, guilty movie pleasure fans. Before the delightful and awesomely entertaining Bumblebee hit theaters, there was 5 really loud and noisy Michael Bay Transformers movies. But before that, there was an animated movie that the only way to sum it up would be to say, "You got the touch! You
Welcome
got
to
the
Popcorn
power!"
Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies. And now, here's Popcorn Talk's Guilty Movie Pleasures.
Oh, here we go.
There it is.
You got the touch. You got the power.
Such an uplifting tune.
Man. That's the best. Yeah! Yeah! Oh.
I've never felt so much like I had the touch.
You know, it's one of those things where I think if this was my ringtone and I was feeling down,
Yeah.
I would just have people call me and it'd be like, oh.
I'd probably, you know what I would do is I would get a home phone so that I could call myself. I wouldn't even wait
There you go.
for people to call me.
I mean, there is the option just to play it on here. I love that we're like, no.
No.
It has
I
to be
would
an
pay-
outside force that is bringing this
I
to
would
us.
get a Comcast bundle,
Just.
and I would purchase a home phone at Circuit City, and I would call myself.
You're gonna have to go back in time.
Well,
to the time machine. Oh man, so I am so excited about today. You got the touch. I'm so glad, Jeff, by the way, that you cut me off because I don't know if my voice could have handled any more of singing that.
I was reading your mind, Ben. I got your back, man. I got your back.
I was like, you got the touch, and then I was like, oh crap.
were you reading his mind or the terrified look on his face?
It was both.
Yeah.
My knee-jerk reaction, honestly, was like, if he's done here and I wait, the awkward silence is much worse than him continuing
That'd be
to
incredible.
sing.
I would've
You got
loved
the
it.
touch. You got the power,
Yeah.
and then Jeff just like,
I did
welcome
a risk,
to Popcorn
exactly.
Talk.
I do a risk-reward assessment kind of thing.
Yeah, and there was worth. You got the reward. There
I think
was no risk there.
all of us won there, so it's great.
We all won. Oh man. So I'm fighting a little bit of an allergy thing. So if you're listening, I don't usually sound like I don't. Do I sound as bad as I think I sound?
No, you sound great, man.
Oh,
you sound like
thanks,
totally invigorated.
Because I got the touch.
Yeah, you have the touch.
Anyways,
Both the touch and the power.
So we talked about this because one of our viewers suggested doing the old school Transformers movie because Bumblebee was coming out, but Bumblebee came out over the holidays. We were on a hiatus. I've now seen that movie twice because I'm enamored with it. It's so good. Right now, as a full-grown adult, it's one of my favorite movies of last year. One of my top 20. I have 20. I love too many movies, but.
No need to apologize for that.
But if I was a kid watching this, I would literally drag my parents to the theater every weekend to see this. I would buy it. I would watch it every day. This would be my favorite movie of all time if I was a kid because Bumblebee feels like, and other people have said this, I'm not like, this isn't me coming up with it, that it's like an Amblin version of a Transformers movie where it's more focused on Charlie, played by Haley Steinfeld, and Bumblebee and their relationship.
Played by who?
Bumblebee played by a motion capture actor.
A robot?
A robot.
Yeah, cool.
And their relationship and their friendship that forms. And then there is a ton of action in there as well. It's not quite as much as like the of Michael Bay movies, but holy hell, Michael Bay movie. I've been going back and rewatching just the action scenes of the Transformers franchise, and it's watchable if you fast forward through all the human stuff. But the human stuff works just as well as the clanging, and there's a ton of heart. I may have gotten teary-eyed at one point.
What was the point?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
It's a spoiler.
I was looking for a timestamp.
So I was so stoked. Yeah, it was at 1 hour and 38 minutes. So I was so stoked to revisit this because the only memory I had about this movie was that Optimus Prime, spoiler alert, Optimus Prime, it's from 1987, that Optimus Prime died, and it like wrecked me as a kid. And I don't think I ever watched it again after that. I don't think I ever watched the movie. I think I saw it once and it devastated me. And then I was more obsessed with the G.I. Joe movie, which also Duke was supposed to die in that, but because of this, they have a voiceover line added in where it's like, and Duke's okay! And it's a frozen image of them they're not even cheering. They're like, hooray! And it just pans across like this.
Yeah.
So clearly they course corrected. Watching it now, it's confusing. The animation's awesome, and the action scenes are really fun and cool, but I don't really have any idea what happened in this movie. And I'm going to stop talking because I've been talking for way too long. Jesse, what's your way into the Transformers franchise? Have you seen any of them other than on here?
Yeah, so we did, which one did we cover? Number
Dark
3?
of the Moon, number 3.
I had seen the first 2 before we did that.
And you stopped because the second one was so
I stopped
bad,
because the
remember
second
that.
one was bad.
3 was fine.
3 was, yeah,
The
3 was
action
fine.
was great.
It was fine. I enjoy watching Shia LaBeouf. That might be a controversial opinion. That's how I say it.
That's the only way you get away with that opinion.
That is me being. That's the fanciest thing I know how to say. Is someone else's name, Shia LaBeouf.
Saying it wrong too.
Hey,
Hey, the fanciest thing I know how to say is...
listen. Come change my mind, Shia. If you're listening.
Did you watch the cartoon growing up?
So I don't have a memory of watching the cartoon, but I think I did have like action figures. And I probably watched a little bit of the cartoon. So I had no knowledge of this movie's existence until we discussed doing it.
Your text to me today was amazing.
I texted you today. Do you want to read what I texted you today?
I think you just said something very simple, which was I have absolutely no idea what happened in this movie.
Yeah, I don't.
And I said it's ellipses confusing AF.
Yes. And so my interpretation of your response was that you knew the players and the basic moves, but so I might be off on this. And you knew like the language that was being spoken, and you understood generally like the construct of this film. I literally mean I don't know anything that happened in this movie. I do not understand what was going on, and like it really. You talked about like the people in Michael, like skipping the human part of the Michael Bay movies.
This entire movie skips the human.
God, it really made me appreciate the fact that they tried to make it relatable in the Michael Bay movies by introducing humans and placing it on
There's
Earth.
2 in this entire film, and
they're barely in it.
Barely.
The dad has maybe like 2 lines.
I thought he was dead forever.
And the kid was fishing, and then the kid was in a robot suit, and that was it. And like it is so difficult to follow if you don't have like intimate knowledge of this universe.
Jump in. Are you saying that the Michael Bay standard is a more human depiction than any? If Michael Bay is a filmmaker who cares about human beings, this film sounds very confusing.
It was, and listen, I don't know if this was a Michael Bay choice or if it was a studio note, or if someone was like, the only way we're making a Transformers movie is if you place it on Earth and have humans.
Well,
but it was the right call because this was so hard to follow.
The cartoons, for the most part, when what I remember, I haven't seen them in years, but when I was a kid, I remember a lot of it was on Earth, and it was always, at least the first season, was kind of like regurgitations of the same plot, where it was like Megatron was going to try and find Energon, which was the source of power they needed to, I think, rebuild Cybertron, their planet that was destroyed in the war, and so they're like, hey, let's. So they just kept trying to find different sources of energy on Earth, and the Autobots kept stopping them. But what I was so confused about in this is that I knew Optimus Prime, I knew Bumblebee, I knew Hot Rod, I knew the Dinobots and Megatron and stuff, and I had loosely heard of Unicron, and Unicron comes into play, I think, at the end of the 5th Michael Bay movie, where if I remember right, spoilers, if I'm remembering this correctly, I think Earth turns out to be Unicron. Like I think.
That's a twist.
But I remember so little about the Michael Bay plots that I'm like, the first one, Sam Witwicky had glasses that led them, that had the imprint of where to go to get the Allspark, which is supposed to bring life, and then that's what kills Megatron, which makes no sense. And then the second one's the Matrix of Leadership, and it's just all these things they throw at you.
Right.
So Unicron is kind of like Galactus from the Marvel Comics. He's just a planet eater, I guess. But as far as I could understand from reading different things online, is that this was the first introduction of Unicron. And if that's so, they do a really terrible job of explaining it.
Yeah, like I brought this up before, but when you have like a fake problem and then to solve it you have a fake solution, like that's really hard for me to get on board with. But then when you add on the fact that these are fake beings on fake planets, it's like there's no rhyme or reason to anything, and anything could solve any problem. Yeah, and there's no like tension at all. But I was watching it.
You're right. This entire thing is like anything could solve any problem because nothing makes sense. I still, before we go on, for the Transformers fans out there, I still love this mess of a movie. I had a blast watching it. I don't know what was going on for most of it, but I had so much fun with the cheese ball. Every battle scene, there's some shitty, like, fake hairband that comes on, like, we're gonna do the stuff, and of course, The Touch is the best song. of the entire.
The music cued me into like good stuff's happening now. That's like how I knew is when there's
The
like
battles are cool. The
but
animation's
I don't know
awesome.
who's who, and it like made it worse that like a couple of times. So they like alternated when they would be like Decepticons. They were either like ruining the damage that the Decepticons had done, or they were rallying the Decepticons, and they did it both ways.
So you're just like,
and I was
sitting
like,
there going,
who is this group of people or robots that I'm watching right now? I can't tell. I can't like visually tell. And so I need the audio cue. And if they're going back and forth, I was like, I have no idea.
See, I knew just from my basic knowledge of the
Right.
toys and stuff, I knew who was Autobots and who was Decepticons. But before we get any further, I am so excited to can we do the plot in under 3 minutes? Good God, don't give us 5. That'll be too much. I don't even know if I can
Listen,
film 3
I
minutes.
have very little to contribute to
I'm
this,
so excited.
but I'll do my best.
Oh, man. Okay. Whenever you're ready in the booth, oh, God, we're starting. Okay, here we go. All right. So we start off, Unicron shows up and commits full-on planet genocide and eats a planet. And then the Decepticons conquered Cybertron, and there's moon bases around Cybertron where the Autobots are hiding, but I guess not really doing a good job of hiding. And they stage a coup on Cybertron, but before they do that, there's a tiny robot that comes in, a tiny Decepticon that sees their plan, so they're really not protecting their secret plan that well. The Decepticons fight them. They go to Earth.
Yeah, so
then there's
on
a base
Earth,
on Earth.
there's a kid and he's fishing.
Spike, right? Or no?
Yep.
Daniel. Spike's his dad.
He's fishing, and then he sees like the ship coming, and he's like, "Gotta run!" And then he runs, and then the Transformer turns into a car, and he's like, "Better if we drive."
Yeah,
and then he drives.
Yeah, and then there's a huge battle on Earth where the Decepticons come in. Optimus Prime goes, "We have to defeat Megatron no matter the cost." And then you got the Touch starts playing, and he goes full on like, when you're watching this movie, keep in mind that Autobots and Decepticons are living creatures from their planets. So when they're blasting heads off, ripping arms off and stuff, this is like the most violent animated movie I've ever seen if you think of them as any kind of living organism.
Sure.
And so Optimus Prime is just blasting away, and he's killing all the Decepticons, but then Megatron comes in and full on just Tony Sopranos him, shoots him a whole bunch of times. He ends up, they take,
The Matrix.
The Matrix.
He gives the Matrix to another one of the Autobots.
Optimus to, what's his name? Keep saying stuff.
So, and then the Decepticons think they've
What's his name?
killed but then like the big bad guy. What's his name?
Megatron.
No,
Unicron.
but like, yeah, Unicron is like, no, you gotta kill the Matrix, and he's like, I did, and he's like, no, you didn't, and
Yeah.
he's like, all right, well, I guess I gotta go back out there.
And then there's Starscream, who Megatron is severely wounded in the battle, and Starscream throws him out to be scrap metal, and Megatron gets taken in by Unicron and turned into Galvatron. Now he's voiced by Leonard Nimoy. Galvatron goes and they kill off a whole bunch more Autobots. The Autobots are separated, one on a Sharkticon planet, the other on a Buildacon or something.
There are dinosaurs.
There are dinosaurs.
This is what I know.
Dinobots and sharks on one planet, and this weird turning thing that's saying guilty or innocent. It doesn't seem to matter what you say, you just get fed to the Sharkticons. And then there's these guys that look like Genghis Khan fighters, but they're robots with Australian accents, and they're building things. And they start to fight him at first until they're given the universal greeting from Hot Rod. Then they all help each other out, and then Hot Rod takes the Matrix of leadership and goes and kills Unicron with it, and it blows up, and you got the touch.
You got the
I feel like I
touch.
ended that on such a fart because my brain was just like, I don't know what's happening.
Right, but it's not your fault, Ben. It's not your fault.
You know what's the craziest thing? So here I read this on. This is how many characters they kill off. Optimus Prime, Ironhide, Ratchet, Prowl, Brawn, Wheeljack, Windcharger, Megatron, Starscream, Skywarp, Thundercracker, Shrapnel, Kickback, and Bombshell. Optimus Prime, Megatron, and Starscream, and Ratchet, and Ironhide are like some of the biggest Transformers.
Right, so where does this fit in the Transformer canon?
This is after the second season. It bridges the gap to season 3. And when I watched the behind the scenes on this and read a bunch on IMDb about it, is that it turns out that Hasbro kind of was like, and the creators of the TV show, it was all about toys. It was all about marketing new toys. So they're like, we need new stuff, because I thought all these I was like, I don't remember Sharkticons. I don't remember any of this in the cartoon. And a ton of this was thrown in the movie new, and that's why they just murdered off. And they didn't even think that that killing Optimus Prime was gonna like ruin kids' lives, but like kids were leaving the theater crying. And parents were writing in super mad, and then they end up bringing him to life again in season 3, which I loosely remember like some kind of Autobot heaven sequence. I may have dreamed that. But so that's why they killed off all of our favorite characters just to make new damn toys.
Listen, I literally was
It's an easier way to make new toys.
Yeah, they could have just introduced them without killing other, like they do in every other.
Or have them get kidnapped and taken, and then like the X-Men.
Right.
The original X-Men team gets kidnapped. They introduce a new team of X-Men with Wolverine and Thunderhawk and or Thunderbird and all them to go.
Right. Yeah.
You don't
it's
need
a
to
simple
murder
solution.
them.
You don't have to kill them. But I was watching it yesterday, and my wife was like sitting there doing some work, and Optimus Prime died, and I looked at her and I was like, "Damn, that was the only one I knew." And it died.
You're screwed.
Yeah,
Bumblebee.
I knew Bumblebee, but Bumblebee was
gets-
also barely in it.
Bumblebee gets like him and
Bumblebee's with the dad,
him,
who like
yeah.
never shows up.
Bumblebee and Spike. It turns out later on they're on this really long conveyor belt that's dipping them into like a vat of acid in Unicron, which again they show these Decepticons and Autobots like melting away, and that's the thing I couldn't help but notice in this movie is how shockingly violent it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, I still loved everything about this, except that it made no sense.
Right.
Now let's get into, first and foremost, let's play the Transformers theme song, because this...
Welcome to the Popcorn Talk.
Or that. It got clip number 1. It got kicked up a notch for the movie. Here we go, almost there.
Ooh.
That's some auto-tunes before auto-tunes existed.
Yeah, it sure was.
It's just like... Every single song has this awesome yelly hairband, like...
Do you
to it.
feel the passion behind this song? And like, I just would love to have been at the recording.
Oh, God,
Been like,
whoever
we just
did
need you to
this-
feel this a little more. And he'd be like, I got you. Yeah.
And the best part is, you know that it was only his voice because the instrumental was in his headphones, so it was just some dude screaming that.
Just ripping.
You can't hear the instrumental; it's just him soloing,
Just
crushing it.
shredding that. Let's just play the first second of it, the first like line of that again, because he's
I
just
got you.
feeling it. He's like, I got this. Don't worry, guys.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I could listen to it all day. I love it. And then the credits come up, and when I saw Orson Welles was Unicron, I was like, what?
Yeah.
This was his final movie.
Was it
before he
really?
Passed, yeah. And in the behind the scenes, they were saying he was so unhealthy at the time that like when they recorded.
I don't mean to laugh, but just
No,
like that's
such
a shame that they made him do that.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, we understand that you're on like
But,
your
like,
last leg,
he
but
was-
please do this Transformers movie.
He was recording it, and he was so like his voice was so labored and everything that the director was like, I can't use any of this. So they had to like tweak it with basically auto tunes in the 80s and make it kind of that weird like more robotic sounding, because otherwise it would have been unusable.
Wow.
And Starscream is the same guy who did Cobra Commander, which is really obvious. In fact, let's just play clip number 3 since I just mentioned it. If you ever watched G.I. Joe, this is not only the same actor, but the same exact voice. It's the best. You could, and the sound effects are the same. It's like you could imagine G.I. Joe and Cobra shooting at each other.
Sure.
Pathetic fools. This. Don't get me wrong. I love that voice.
Hey, he's good at it. He's good at it.
It's just like,
He was like, I know why you hired me.
I
don't
mean,
worry.
it is just like dead on. And this guy does a ton of other voices. It's not his only voice. So clearly Hasbro was like, hey, what you doing for whichever one came first? I can't remember. They were like, hey, what you did for that one?
Yeah.
Do it for this one.
He's like, no notes necessary.
None
I got
that's
you.
necessary.
Yeah.
Pathetic fools, there is no escape. Speaking of, I saw the movie Escape Room today, and in the beginning of it, they locked the doors to the theater, which I thought was really weird.
Oh.
And they were like, no potty breaks because you might miss a plot point. And when I banged on the door and I yelled to management, they just said, Clip 3. Luckily, it was like an hour and 40 minutes, so I could hold it.
I mean, God
And,
bless you.
You know, had I missed anything, it would have been a key to figuring out the rooms. So I appreciated them making it a fully immersive theatrical experience.
Sure, but
The other guy that was in the theater, the only other person in there, he panicked a little.
yeah, there was, and right after they played Panic Room, which is like very appropriate.
And then I came here.
Yeah,
I've been stuck in a theater for 5.5 hours.
It's not something you plan on. It's just something that happens to you.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And let's play clip number 2 because this is like definitely classic Transformers sound effects. Yes. I don't know how many, and I love that they used that in Bumblebee. They used it a little bit too in the Michael Bay movies as well. They did a good job with that. But that sound, I need that to be my text message sound. Oh, sorry. Hey, I got a text from the HOA. Blah blah blah. Anything, any text I get would be heightened by that. Just like the "You Got the Touch" would heighten every phone call. I get.
The problem
Could be
is
the IRS, and I'd be like, "Yeah,
nice.
what's up?"
Why are you texting me, IRS?
Sorry, with the government shutdown,
aren't you guys furloughed?
we have limited resources. So we have to text you.
I'm using my personal phone right now.
Let's play that again. I love it.
Do you remember what was happening in this moment?
It's just one of the Autobots are transforming.
Oh, they're transforming.
That's the typical transforming sound.
Okay.
So for me, I love it because it makes no sense. The sound effect for metal transforming into another object makes no sense to make that noise.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. Because anytime, like, I'm, if I was, like, say a spoon falls into the garbage disposal in my sink, and if I accidentally turn it on, if it made this sound, I'd be freaked out. I'd be like, duh!
Yeah, sure.
What happened to the spoon?
Sure. It would be funny, though, if they made it, like, a more realistic sound. It's just, like, screeching metal. It's like...
Imagine how off-putting that would be for a kid's show.
Yeah. We can only really transform once. After that, it gets...
They get mandated one transformation per episode.
They're like arthritic Transformers. Like, this is actually really painful for us.
Oh my god, what? I love when I talk text my notes because it says Starscream get stalking Haas to shoot his own foot off to escape. I don't know what get stalking has to... I don't know what that is. I think
obviously needs stockings.
I think it's Starscream had to shoot his own... I don't know. But yeah, like, so that's another part where, like, Starscream gets stuck in this battle on Earth. We already kind of went over... There's basically Unicron shows up, eats a planet, and then the Autobots are hiding real close to Cybertron, where the Decepticons now have taken over, and they're talking about their plan in length. So they do a reverse James Bond, where they tell their entire plan while a bad guy's spying on them, and then the bad guys come and attack, and then the attack goes to Earth, where Starscream gets stuck in one of his foot stuck as the base is transforming. I guess.
Also like
and has to shoot his own foot off.
The plan that they're like spelling out is just kind of like a hope. It's not even like, all right, here's our tactical advantage that we're gonna like. It's like, ooh, I hope we have enough whatever to get back to wherever.
Wasn't it? Because there's so many typical amazingly 80s moments where, like, Soundwave, he's like, all right, I'm gonna listen. The Decepticon's like, I'm gonna listen in, and he turns into a cassette tape boombox, and then plugs into these super high tech machines to transmit signals. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think that's great. And they actually do that in Bumblebee in the opening. Soundwave lets out Ravage. It's not a spoiler. It happens pretty quickly. Actually, it's towards him. Whatever. Anyways,
it's the last thing that happens in the movie.
It's literally
don't worry about
the
it.
final scene.
You can walk out now 5 minutes before the movie ends because
no,
you know what happens.
Scene. It's something outside.
They won't let you out though.
They won't. Yeah. That's a new thing. We get introduced to several characters. Soundwave ejecting all of his cassette tapes that all turn into different animals.
Yep.
Which is awesome. I actually had the cassette tapes that transformed, which were so fun. Then we get introduced to Blur. Which is we never really understand anything about him except he talks really fast.
This is the one who talks fast?
Yeah, can we play clip number 4?
We've got Decepticons at the gates, Decepticons in the air, Decepticons inside the walls, Decepticons. If we beat them with the walls and they're still in the air, if we shoot them out of the air, then they're still at the gates. So where does that leave us? Nowhere, that's where.
I think that's the end of the movie when the credits go, so where did this leave us? Nowhere. That's
Nowhere.
where. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of.
If that's what it felt like.
That was the thesis for the film. The only place this left us is all your beloved characters dead.
But it's perfect that they gave him the exposition because it's so impossible to figure out what he's saying.
Yeah.
And they're just like, why don't you say everything? Because you say it quickly.
They were saying at the time he was one of the people who like could talk faster than anybody else. I don't know if he was the Micro Machines guy, but I know in the behind the scenes they were like, this specific voice actor could talk faster than anyone else and you could still understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting.
Sure. Yeah. It's a little tidbit for you.
So this is where all hope looks lost. And basically Optimus Prime, the difference between Autobots and Decepticons, usually with superheroes and supervillains like Batman and Joker, the main difference is Batman won't kill unless he's absolutely forced to. Supposedly, they play willy-nilly with it in the movies for sure. But like the defining characteristic is Joker will kill at random, Batman will not. And in this, you would think that that's the thing, but the Autobots just straight up murder Decepticons left and right.
Yeah.
And Decepticons straight up murder Autobots. So really, what if we're just watching a propaganda machine for the Autobots and the Decepticons aren't that bad? I don't know. I'm just saying. We never get their side of it.
What if they're trying to brainwash us into being on their side? Who do we know who
I
produced
would
this
love
film?
to see Alex
Do we
Jones
know
get
who-
mad and
yeah.
be like, you see, this whole time the Decepticons are getting in trouble and they're not the ones that are, it's the Autobots.
Well, you can't
it's
see
the
'em
Autobots
anymore.
and the deep south or whatever it's called.
Deep
What
South.
does he call
Deep
it?
State?
Deep State, that's
Yeah.
it. Deep
The
South.
Deep South.
The Autobots and the Deep South? What?
I don't know.
Are they making sweet tea together?
Well, it's also.
yeah, that sweet tea's brainwashing
I mean,
us.
yeah,
Why do I sound like Richard Nixon when I impersonate Alex Jones?
the same guy. A lot of people don't know that. They're the same guy.
Yeah, fair. I love that I keep throwing little stupid political. They're not political jokes.
They're just jokes about politicians. It's not. It's apolitical in nature,
Yes.
but they're.
Yes.
You get it.
Yes.
Where on Earth are they supposed to be in this movie? Just an
desert.
abandoned mountain range.
Abandoned mountain range, yeah.
Cool.
Where they kind of have held up shop for a while there,
Yeah,
if I
but
remember
there is the one human who lives there. Who's
Daniel.
a child and is taken care of by robots.
Yep.
I guess.
You know, it's like Mary Poppins with robots.
Sure.
So this is where Optimus Prime goes full murder mayhem.
Yeah.
Where he said, I'm just going to play it. Clip number 5.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Turns into the semi-truck.
You got the touch. You got the
This is the first time you hear the song. I fell off the couch laughing because it's like this happy rock tune as he's just blasting these guys apart. He launches up, leaves his trailer behind, and just pulls out this big cannon. And now, after watching this, I kind of get where Michael Bay got a lot of his ideas for the Transformers movies, because this is just nonstop action that makes no sense. And Michael Bay movies are just nonstop action that makes no sense. So maybe he didn't do a bad job translating if you take it from this.
Is the perfect fit, I think, because that's his MO.
Yeah.
Right?
But if you go back to the actual series and then the graphic novels that have come out since then, there's a lot more lore and storytelling.
Right. So I think that's what we were missing here.
Yeah.
Was storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like a movie for kids who are used to watching a 22-minute version of the show where you're like, so it just feels like they cut out all plot and it's just action.
Yeah. So about 40 minutes in, I almost texted you and was like, watching this is like the first episode of Game of Thrones you see is Band of Brothers or Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah.
And so just like two huge groups of people fighting, and you're like, so
Yeah.
I guess they're just fighting, and I don't know why, and I don't know who's who.
If you'd watch the first 2 seasons of Transformers,
I'm sure it would make a little bit more sense, but there's not a ton of like setup punch.
No.
It's just like, here we go.
well, and especially since they bring in so many new characters, that's what was so hard to follow.
Yeah.
But so Starscream, like I said, throws Megatron out of the ship, and then everybody starts fighting to be the leader, right? They all just start beating each other up, and Starscream kind of is the de facto leader at the time. I also said the biology of Transformers is confusing, and I find this in the movies too, where like in one of the scenes I was watching from, I think, Revenge of the Fallen last night, Optimus Prime was breathing and like air like when it was cold,
Yeah.
and I'm like, do they breathe? Do they have
Right.
Because they're like at one point one of them's getting choked, and I'm like,
Right.
can you cut off the air to a robot?
I
Like,
don't think so.
but they do.
You
in
cut the
these.
circuits, right?
I
You
know,
cut the
right?
wires.
But why
yeah.
are they breathing?
I don't know.
I need to. You know what? I need an entire movie just on the anatomy of a transformer.
And follow up on that. When they transform into whatever like machine they're supposed to be,
Yeah.
where are they breathing from then? If breathing keeps them alive.
Also, is it just a given that they're going to have the exact parts inside, like the exact upholstery and everything, and like, you know, or Optimus Prime's semi-truck? Is it a given that in the back of that he can fit a bunch of cars, or is that his parts that have folded up and are crammed in there?
Yeah, I don't have any answers. And if he can breathe, when he opens his chest up, all there is the Matrix there. Where is that air going?
There's so many questions and so little answers.
The only thing I know about Transformers anatomy,
help,
Yes.
Jeff.
I've heard that the lovemaking of Transformers is Skrillex. That's the only thing I've heard.
Great. Have you confirmed that? Or this is just
Exactly. It's not officially confirmed, but it's widely believed.
It's
widely believed.
which
Yes.
means it's been confirmed. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, his name was Ultra Magnus. That's his name. So Prime gets
Speaking of lovemaking,
sounds like a condom. Ultra Magnus. A normal size condom with a big name, so you feel better
that's
about
right.
yourself.
There you go.
Anyways, so Prime gets shot up. He's there dying. He dies, but before that, he gives the matrix of leadership.
They also like make you think that he's gonna be fine. He like gets shot and they like put him on the table and they're like all gathered around him like this, everything's fine, and they're like, no, wounds are fatal. You're like, whoa, okay,
wait.
hold on.
No, you don't do that. This is a cartoon.
Yeah.
Which I give him credit for having the balls to do that. I just wish it was more from a storytelling standpoint instead of a we gonna sell more toys standpoint.
Or at least back justified it.
Because
in
I
some
got
way.
so, I remember as a kid, I was devastated. I was crying. I was like, what? Because you watch your hero die in front of you, fade away, and become black and white, which again, what does that mean? Why does it
don't know.
become black and white?
Because you go into the past.
I guess. But it gives a matrix of leadership, which, from what I was reading online, I don't think the matrix of leadership, and I may be wrong, correct me please, Transformers fans, because it's been a while since I've seen them. If you can answer this, was the matrix of leadership first introduced in the movie or in past series? Because if it's first introduced in the movies, that's a big thing to just be like, here,
Right.
this is the thing that will destroy Unicron, and I've been keeping it inside my chest this whole time.
Yeah.
In between my non-existent lungs that I breathe from. It doesn't make any sense, but I still love it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do, because it brings back so many memories and scars from Optimus dying. Then Megatron is rescued by Unicron. He's transformed into Galvatron, which is a much more powerful version of him, I guess. He also then immediately Galvatron goes back to the Decepticons when they're doing the crowning ceremony for Starscream.
Yeah.
The not when he's crowning from his mother's womb, by the way, when he's putting his crown
Be
on.
specific.
Just in case I
When
realize.
you use the phrase crowning.
Swearing in, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the Constructicons are playing trumpets. I thought that was really funny. Again, do they breathe? So how are they playing trumpets?
Yeah.
And
I
then-
think we've established they do breathe.
They do breathe.
Yeah.
They do somehow.
We don't know why, but we know they
We
do.
don't know why.
I do have a Matrix of Leadership update.
Well, yes, please.
According to Wikipedia, the Matrix of Leadership first appeared in the animated Transformers series in the Transformers movie when a dying Optimus Prime passed it to Ultra Magnus.
That's insane to bring that up. That's insane to create this with no backstory. Just say, here it is. This will destroy Unicron. I thought I was crazy. I'm so glad you said that, Jeff,
Right.
because I literally thought I was insane watching this.
So this is another example of like a fake solution for a fake problem, where
Yes.
it's just like, here's something that no one knows what it is that could fix
Which
all
happens,
of our problems.
Which happens in the first Michael Bay movie when they're like, this is the Allspark. We need this to start up our planet again.
Right.
And then at the end, Sam has the Allspark and Optimus goes, give it to me. And he goes, no. And he shoves it into Megatron's chest. And then Megatron's chest becomes lava and he dies. And you're like, how is the thing that causes all life on your planet the thing that killed him? And they never justify it.
I don't know. It's
And then
like
they bring him back to life with the chunk of it. They bring Megatron back to life with the chunk of the Allspark. in the second one. It makes no sense. It's infuriating.
What does Wikipedia say about Transformer lovemaking?
Please.
I'm on. I'll let you know.
Holy crap. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens. Then Unicron has like this Darth Vader hold. Wherever Galvatron is in the universe, he can control him and be like, you will obey me and get me the matrix of leadership.
Yeah.
So that's what Unicron wants, because he needs to destroy the matrix of leadership in order to keep eating planets.
But so this sort of made me wonder, like, if he has so much control and so much power, why didn't he just destroy the Matrix?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Great.
You know, and then this is one of my favorite lines in the entire movie. So they're all they've escaped Earth. God, I don't even remember what's happening. There's the ship gets attacked and it's about to blow up. But before that, there's this line from Hot Rod, clip number 6.
Maybe the Matrix can stop it.
You're right, it can.
What do you know about it, lad?
I just got this feeling.
Deep sigh.
That's the best. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
Oh man.
Just listen to this exchange again in case you weren't really fully paying attention on how absurd it is that this is a major plot point where they figure out how to destroy the huge planet chewing up and destroying villain.
Maybe the Matrix can stop it.
You're right, it can.
What do you know about it, lad?
I just got this feeling.
Who is the Transformer speaking in that exchange?
Hot Rod's the
Okay,
one that
so
says,
Hot Rod.
I just got this feeling.
Hot Rod does a 180. No, who's the one that is saying maybe
I think his name's Cop or something. The guy who always everything reminds him of something else.
Yeah, he does a 180 in the span of 2 lines,
Hey.
where he's like, "This'll work," and Hot
right.
Rod's like, "Yeah,
What do you know?"
How do you what?"
Do we think like a producer gave them the note of like there has to be a justification here, but it was like day of, and they're like, well, what if he has a feeling?
Honestly,
I mean, maybe,
I have no idea.
maybe.
I have no idea, and it's hilarious whenever before he passed, whenever Orson Welles was interviewed about this, he was like, I don't know, it was a movie about toys fighting other toys. Like he hated that he did it.
Yeah.
And rightfully,
I hate that he did it. He deserved better.
And then the Dinobots are just me, Grimlock, and all this weird stuff. Ultra Magnus crashes his crew onto a desolate planet that looks like a junkyard with Genghis Khan-looking robots with Australian accents. Like I said, they're called like the Buildicons or something. And then Hot Rod is somehow underwater, tied up in robot seaweed, being attacked by robot sharks, which we find out are Sharkticons. And so Hot Rod and Cobb, whatever his name is, are now in a jail where they come across the last of the race of people that were killed in the beginning by Unicron. My head's exploding just trying to explain this. And can we play clip number 7? This is the only remote explanation of Unicron we get in this movie.
I am Krenix. My planet was destroyed by Unicron.
Unicron? Who's Unicron?
A planet that devours everything in its path.
So that's the monster's name.
That's perfect. So that's the monster's name.
That's all you get.
Just spell it out for me, please.
I have a feeling.
Yeah.
So that's all we get, and then he's immediately taken off and put on a platform where this like four-headed, it's like a face that keeps turning and has different personalities and monstrous faces on it, and it's like, how do you plead to what they're pleading? I'm not sure,
Unclear.
but it's guilty or innocent. And he says innocent, and they go good, and then like pull the plank, and he falls and gets eaten and ripped apart by the Sharkticons. Again, organic life forms are being ripped apart in a kid's cartoon. I love it. 'Cause it's awesome.
It would have made me enjoy it a little more if those were just sharks and not like, for some reason, like everything's a robot except there are sharks on this planet. For
What
some
universe?
reason.
Like, this is crazy how many robotic life forms are out there that we didn't know about.
Isn't it? Isn't it? And it's also crazy how they've like reflected only life forms that you find on Earth. They're like this vast universe that we have no knowledge of, and like they're
Yep.
robots. They're just mimicking.
And they're named after with just icons.
Yeah, icons.
Sharkticons, Buildicons.
Yeah, they're like first we have to learn English, then we have to name ourselves.
Giraffecons.
Yeah.
Here's the safari of all the icons.
They're like, how did we refer to each other before we learned English? I don't know.
I don't know. The universal greeting. The universal greeting, which we'll get to.
Yes.
Which is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Let's play clip number 8 because this is the Dinobots fighting, which the Dinobots they're just a cut up. They're a group of goofballs. Play clip number 8, please.
No see nothing.
Me, Grimlock, positive, hot rod and cop close.
Me slag say you full of beryllium baloney.
Me, Grimlock, say you full of cesium salami.
Beryllium baloney.
Who say that?
This is little tiny pixie like sprite of an Autobot that's coming up.
Yep.
Look behind. You go wrong way, you fool, I say.
This is where I thought I was on drugs, where this little dude comes out and it's like, friend, find, look behind. You go wrong way, you fool, I say. Where I was like, what?
Yeah.
I didn't think this movie could get weirder.
Yeah, it's like a fever dream. It's just
movie-
like,
It's just like,
What?
I want to rewatch this and just like get baked and just rewatch the whole thing. Because I love, like you were saying, I think it was cerulean salami and something bologna. But
Yeah.
again, like, they're basing their foods off of a specific planet that they know, but an Earth food.
Right.
It's so ridiculous. And the Dinobots, they're kind of useless. But they do end up finding Hot Rod and Cobb and saving the day.
sure.
So they do come. They're wandering around this planet while Hot Rod and Cobb. They say the name like 8 times, and I never know what it is. Cobb.
One of those.
Yep, sure.
One of those
two.
sounds like we're playing charades.
Oh, so then the what? This is another talk text fail. This is incredible. So the Sharkticons are about to dump Hot Rod and Cop. Bop. I'm just gonna say bop into the Sharkticon pit. And I said, good, Dinobots open and smash it up. Or is your blue shirt your cons?
Ben, is it possible that did happen? You're just remembering it wrong.
Maybe.
It was a very packed film.
Maybe there were your blue Shirticons.
Yeah.
Listen, I fully admit that I missed a few details.
I think
if that's happening, then
I think they smash up and blow up a bunch of the Sharkticons is what it was supposed to be.
And so then what happened to the blue Shirticons?
And then they just, the blue Shirticons went to work for Best Buy.
Yeah, good.
So Grimlock tells them to execute the leader, and they just do. They just full on murder the leader, right?
Sure, yeah.
And dump the leader into the Sharkticon pit. Because doesn't Grimlock talk to them and they listen? Or
Listen,
I don't remember.
Listen, a couple of times today you've turned to me with a question as if I have answers. And I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So there's another big fight that's happening on the Buildicon planet or whatever the hell they're called. And
Yes, this is where they Build-A-Bears.
they build Build-A-Bears there. Yeah, exactly. Ultra Magnus gets murdered and like blown apart. His body is
Yes.
This is something that drove me
This
nuts.
is something I remember, yes.
So Ultra Magnus gets blown apart. Hot Rod gets the Matrix of Leadership through that. I can't remember how and what form it happens. But anyways, then we're just gonna call them Buildicons. Just keep going with that. They put Ultra Magnus back together and he's fine. Which I'm like, wait a minute, he got way more messed up than Optimus.
Yeah.
So like, can't you just find Optimus's corpse and bring him back to life?
Well, see, if you get blown apart, you're still like your breathing mechanism still works. So you can be put back
see?
together as long as you're still breathing.
See?
Optimus had stopped breathing.
Okay. Thank you for.
I'm
had one answer, but it was the one I needed.
That's right. I'm a Dr. Khan.
So the Buildicons, they're about to attack whatever, I don't remember the Autobots that are on this planet. And then Hot Rod shows another amazing thing. Just listen to this back and forth between Hot Rod about specifically when he asks for the universal greeting and then immediately remembers it. Clip number 9.
What was that universal greeting again? Never mind, I remember. Ba weep grana, weep nitty bong. Ba weep grana, weep nitty bong.
Ba weep grana, weep nini bomb.
Weep nitty bong. Ba weep grana,
And then they help. Hey, wait a minute. There's a song going on right now that's saying, "Dare to be stupid, dare to be stupid." While they're all dancing, they take time to have a dance break.
You know that's Weird Al.
Is it?
That's what the chat's saying.
I thought so.
Really?
When I heard the lyrics, I thought it was Weird Al. That's so weird to me that there's Dare to be Stupid playing as they're taking a mini dance break.
Listen, it makes sense to me because truly the universal language is dance. So if you're involving yourself in a universal greeting, there's no reason there wouldn't be dance.
Can we just play just the beginning of that again? Because I talked over it a little. Where
What was that universal greeting again? Never mind.
Oh, no. Here, play it again because I want to hear how quickly he says, "Never mind, I remember it."
What was that universal greeting again? Never mind. I remember.
That'd be like if this entire podcast I was like, "Jesse, so what did you think of it? Never mind, let me say it."
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so funny how quickly.
It's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. Like, who?
It's the best.
Like, there again, no tension because he immediately flips on it, and it's not something that exists. So, like, the audience can't
so
answer that
funny.
question. So it's just so weird that they put that in there.
Oh, it was so funny to me. I can't stop laughing at that. So then Hot Rod and the team, they fly in this giant ship that was on the other planet that they've now fixed. And Unicron turns into this giant robot, which he starts stomping on Cybertron like he's going to destroy it because he's pissed off at Megatron or Galvatron now. Galvatron. I can just say Galvatron and you'll know it's somebody. And so they again, organic being, fly through his eyeball,
Yeah.
and then they're like full on body wars fighting inside of him with the Decepticons. And God, I'm trying to remember what all happens in this because there's a lot. Oh, they shoot. They run through a tunnel and shoot the wall, and then a bunch of water comes out.
Yep.
Where was there water in
It was
Unicron?
right outside of the wall.
Oh, okay.
That's why the wall was there, Ben.
And then, in the middle of his tummy, in Unicron's tummy, he has these Autobots and Decepticons being dropped into the vat of acid, like I said. Daniel saves Spike by being able to figure out how to use the mech suit and shoot and save Spike and Bumblebee. Again, I said Galvatron strangling Hot Rod. Do they breathe?
But that's also something the kid in the suit, where they that was something else that immediately was solved. Where he when he first put it on, he was like, "I don't understand this thing," and then the next time we see him in it, he's like, "I get it now." Yeah,
It's so good and so silly. So this is then Hot Rod and Galvatron are fighting, and Hot Rod's getting his ass handed to him by Galvatron until this theme song kicks in and the tide turns. Clip number 10.
You got the touch. You got the
Because all you need is the...
Miss Prime.
Oh, Rod. He calls him like Rodimus Prime or something, I think. Because now he's a Prime.
Rodimus Prime wears the Magnus for sure.
Yeah.
Galvatron.
So now they're fighting. He punches him a whole bunch of times, and instead of murdering Galvatron like you should, because he
Right.
murdered Optimus, he shoots a hole and just throws him out into space.
Well,
See you later.
Done.
That worked really well for Starscream.
yeah,
Come on, guys. Just murder.
they can't breathe in space.
But they can.
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I have no idea.
I don't get it.
Darkest power.
He keeps going. I just want this to go forever. Then he turns the Matrix of Leadership and unleashes it on Unicron. It blows up his other eye. Blah, blah, everything's blowing up. They escape narrowly. Unicron blows up. And then Hot Rod says, "This is the end of the Cybertron Wars. And we're all one now." But it only seems like a dozen of them left hanging out on this desolate, destroyed planet.
Sure.
With 2 humans. And then we see Unicron's head floating, and it's a freeze frame, and then credits roll. So Unicron is coming back. There's one thing I've learned about Transformers anatomy is I've learned nothing about Transformers
Not a
anatomy.
thing. Well, I know the head can still breathe.
Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. I know we picked apart this because it makes logically no sense, but that does not discount how much fun I personally had watching it. The animation's top notch. It's got a ton of action. It just makes no sense.
Listen, this.
But I would rather it make no sense and we get to point that out than it make perfect sense and us just be like, yeah, that was a cool part.
This is the longest sustained amount of time I've ever been confused. It was an hour 40 minutes. I've never been confused for that long and been like, let me keep going.
Let me keep going.
But I did it. I did it for this
you
movie.
guys.
For you guys. So
For you
appreciate
guys.
that, please.
We have one naysayer in the chat, you guys.
What's that?
Ravassery79 is saying, what was confusing about this movie? I followed this perfectly as a 6-year-old. Stop the drugs. This isn't a hard movie to follow.
Okay. All right. Well, you're a better man than I am.
You know what?
Ravassery79.
Here's the thing. Maybe as a 6-year-old, it made. I just went with it. You know, it's not that it's hard. Rewatch the episode.
Yeah. I would suggest rewatching the movie for sure.
I wish I was on drugs when I watched this. I literally was not.
Yeah.
The only thing I was on some green tea. I had some antioxidants.
Ooh.
Why I said that. Anyways, I had a blast talking about this movie. I think it's great in all its amazing encapsulation of 80s cartoon silliness. And if you haven't seen Bumblebee, go see it because it's doing well, but not as well as it deserves to do. Because all the Michael Bay movies made like $1 billion, and this one is paling in comparison. So go see it because we deserve more Transformers movies like Bumblebee. And tweet at me what you thought of it if you did see it or if you're gonna go see it. Let me know what you think. Until next time, Jesse, where can they find you?
On Twitter and Instagram at Too Much Jesse and for Sketch at The Prom Losers.
You can find me at the Ben Begley on Twitter and Instagram. And big news, if you haven't seen Funhouse Massacre yet, I know it's the movie that just won't die in my mind, but hey, it's now on Amazon Prime for free, so you can watch it there and pay the best price imaginable, free $95. Until next time, what is your guilty movie pleasure?
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.